Now we're
Yes.
live. Yeah.
Wait, this is checking correction.
Okay, so we're live. I hope we're live. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sudhanshu Kaushik. I'm the founder of Young India Foundation. And today we're doing our first live candidate talk with the individual sitting to the left of me. Sneha.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here. Thank you Sudhanshu for having me. And I'm looking forward to discussing everything and meeting, we've spoken a lot, but I'm looking forward to talking to people here who are listening. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so I hate introducing other people. I feel like, people should be introduced by themselves. Sometimes that, I just think it's so cringeworthy. But, so Sneha Khatri is our candidate from Sonipat, Haryana, which is a municipality municipality committee now turning into a corporation, which we'll get into later on.
Okay.
But you were one of our first female candidates.
Okay. So, do you want me to start with how it started?
Well, I mean, I was just gonna. I kind of wanted to ask a bit of an introduction, right? So a background. First of all, what did you study exactly, and then kind of a bit of a background for all the viewers that are coming in.
So I started some social work because my mother was a teacher and I was always actively involved with her in schools. So on my summer vacations, I'd just go to her schools, teach there, and then other things, and I joined ISEC and I was involved in social programs there. But and then I started working for 3 years in Bombay where I was involved in advertising. And then I came back here with the motivation of, because I started feeling like a cog in the wheel when working in a corporate, and I just felt like I wanted to make a difference in the society, and no matter how little money I get or then the motivation just became more about doing something and making a difference than anything else. And I think when I enrolled for the program at Jindal, that was my master's.
Bachelor's in what?
My master's in international relations.
Okay.
And I wanted to work with UNDP or Global Compact or something who is doing sustainable development. But the idea of politics never really hit me. That you could be involved in politics and you could have a political position and then create change. It was always you could be an NGO, you could be any non-state actor, and then you could because the idea that as associated with politics is usually the connotation is that
it's negative.
It's negative, right? And it's more oh, you're a girl, how are you going to do it? It's going to be crazy. There's going to be so many people who just try to be a hindrance. You just follow the NGO path, and you just get into a good organization and you work through there, or you earn your own. But never the politics was never put forward as an idea. And I think right when in June I was I think everything was done. I was going for my masters to London, and
we'll get to that. So we'll get to that. We got to save something for the rest of the talk. But I think that's a really interesting question that you put out there, and I think it's a great way to introduce what YIF does. Is this distinction between, okay, if you want to help society, you can do so in mediums that are different or other than politics, right? Because politics or representation isn't how you help people, it's how you make money, it's how you get corrupt, it's how you get your work done. But the mentality, especially for young people or that's given to us, it's you don't want to get into politics to help people, NGO kholo, ye karo, wo karo, that kind of gets in the way. But that's obviously a wrong mentality, because at the end of the day, politics, representation, in this electoral democracy is all about that, right? It's about vocalizing your concerns, it's about collectivizing the concerns of other people, your constituents, and whether it's the halls of the parliament, whether it's the halls of your state assembly, or whether it's your local punch office, it's getting those issues fixed. And we never actually get to, that's not told, that's not ever pushed, doctor banoge, engineer banoge, ye banoge, but never into politics.
Become a politician.
Yeah.
Also, coming from Haryana, politics is so deeply ingrained, I think, in the fabric of Haryana, I would say, that like people can really talk politics. You know, if you go to any house in the village, they will know who they are voting for, they will know their candidates, they will know what are they going to get out of it. It's like a patronage democracy for them, right? Like they know the kind of benefits that lie when they vote. So coming from that background, I was deeply involved, yet I was away from it. I was kept away from it on the pretext that, you know, you're a girl, you can't be involved in it. You know, you can be a viewer, you can have an opinion, but you can't be a part of it. You know, that you're inside, but you're still on the periphery, and you're always on the outside. So that was something.
And do you think it has primarily to do with gender, or is it just in general the fact that, you know, I mean, we can fairly say that we come from a standard of living that's far more privileged than others, right? So do you think because we have that privilege, we don't, you know, think, oh, like politics is Budo, like that mentality stays there, or is it more to do with gender in your case?
I would say both. It's more intersectional. Gender, yes, it comes. I think genders come across in everything I've done in life. Like, you know, whether you're in a corporate job or you're like in an NGO or wherever you are, the gender does play a role. But in politics, especially, I think the connotation is so negative that everyone is dissuaded. All the young people, especially, they're like, "Why do you want to get into the dirt? Why do you want to get yourself into the mess?" And you know, you get a good job and stay away from this. Even if you want to help the society, it's like young people are especially dissuaded from getting into politics. Like, you know, the thing is like, oh, bhakt banoge, or you know, suddenly they start associating with you with the party. They don't see you or change. You know, that doesn't happen. It's mostly like
commitment to public service.
Commitment to public service.
To a party
or
a leader.
Rightly pointed out, like the commitment to a party, especially because when I also talk about it, so you're going to join Congress, or you're going to join BJP, or you're going to join some
party. The idea
party.
of independent.
The idea of that you want to contribute to the society or public service is never the first thought that comes to mind. So who's backing you, or especially that, right? Like, so who's behind you? Are you from a political family?
Right.
That question.
So actually, this is a good point to kind of transition, because a lot of, I think, viewers are also kind of confused. Like, you know, like, okay, we get it. Young India Foundation helps young people, you know, in their campaigns, or come and participate in politics, or help in those campaigns. But like, you know, how do you become a candidate, or how do you find them? So I think this is a really good way, and I think our narrative as well is a good way to tell people, the viewers, and anyone who's watching, is that this is not like a special, like, oh, tarika of that, right? It's genuine, like, if you are committed, if you want to. And I think our narrative and how we recruited you is very simple. For anyone who, look, no one knows, but we actually met at a Barack Obama Foundation Summit in December 1st, so almost 1 year ago today. Or like November 30th or December 1st?
I think December 2nd.
Or something like that, around this time, but just like 1 year ago actually. And we met, and there were about 100 young people who had been invited that were working in India, and we got to hear Barack Obama, and that's where we got introduced.
And a lot of other young people, you know, they were doing a lot of things. Like, I think I met a couple of people who I'm still in touch with, and they're doing incredible work. And that, I think those kind of conferences where when you meet and understand that, you know, oh, there are people doing so much, and you're not like, you know, there's like so much like happening. Like, it's not like, usually when you're when you're not a part of all this, you know, you're like a little bit pessimistic, I would say. You're like, for me especially, because like the people like I stay with, and like they don't really talk about change, or you know, they don't want to talk about, and when you go to places like these, you know, people want to change things
or contribute,
or they're not already dissuaded at 25, at 24, like at such young age. We can't be like, oh, nothing's going to change, the country's going to stay the same. So that's refreshing to meet people like you and other people.
Well, so many other people, and just to like, so we stayed in touch, and we had many conversations where basically, honestly, it was never the intention, but the conversation was Sneha actively wanted to contribute to public service. You know, I remember you saying that you wanted to contribute to politics, or you wanted to be part of this, like a system where you could bring about change. but you didn't know how, or at a latter stage in your life.
In life, yeah. The mechanism wouldn't be like get into work.
Yeah. So it's like, go back. Yeah. And we had many conversations about that.
Right.
And one day, with YIF, I called up Sneha and I was like, "What are your plans?" And then what happened?
I think it was quite like 2018 changing or like 5-year plan change for me. So I was planning on going to London for my masters, and everything was set. like my visa, my everything, my bank
She had paid the deposit.
I paid the deposit for college, everything, and then Sonal called me, and then he was like, we've been like looking for people in Sonipat, and
Sonipat, so just a quick clap.
Right.
So Sonipat, basically the Haryana government announced, there was a statement by the state leaders that Sonipat was going to go under municipality elections.
Right, yeah.
So just to caveat, that's when and then I was like, who do I know from Sonipat? So go ahead.
Yeah, and then he was like, no, he'd already told me that, I think he'd already told me that you would require a candidate and that you were on the lookout. Yeah. But we'd been talking, oh, you could hire, you could get this person, and I'd been suggesting names to him. And then I just got a call and he said, what about you? Why don't you go for it? I said, I mean, really?
I'm going to London.
Politics, and I'm going, right? And he's like, but think about it, it's just, and it honestly took me 30 seconds, 30 seconds to just change my mind. I was so convinced that I just wanted someone to tell me, just don't go and do this, it was just magical, I think. And then he introduced me to other people from YIF, and then I was even more convinced because the people like Astha and then the other Delhi team, I think they were very convincing that, something's going to happen, right? Yeah. This is plausible. And it was difficult initially, I think. Like the first, I remember a lot of nervous phone calls. Like I would be like, do I really want to do this? Because it's not like...
I thought I was going to be on a conference call with her parents.
Yeah, and it's mostly like, you take a decision like that, you don't want to retract from it, you want to commit to it, because it's not like, oh, meko politics mein jana hai, and then so tomorrow you're like, no, that was just like one day thing. No, I genuinely wanted to.
Especially when you announce publicly.
Yeah, right?
And then
there's some responsibility.
Yeah.
And you also want, if you want to do it, you want to do it like this, then there's no looking back. And I wanted to be sure, and I remember the first 2 weeks were like speaking to my parents and then hearing a lot of, why do you want to do this suddenly?
How much was the pushback, especially from your family?
I would say quite a bit,
but there was also support, not
a lot of
discounting.
Support. Yeah. I would push back, and I anticipated that. We both anticipated that they're just gonna say no. They're just gonna be like, why are you even toying with the idea? Yeah. But I knew that. I think we had that discussion where we just have to stay optimistic about this. But the moment you go on a downward trajectory, it will just nothing's gonna move. And having said that, it's been 4 or 5 months now, and I can see such a positive change in terms of them responding to it. In terms of other people, extensions responding to it, to my decision, they respected it much more. You see, when you first decide to do something, it's just it's crazy. It's just the idea is difficult to fathom, and then slowly people are they come into your pocket and they're like, okay, it's fine. It's workable.
But also, I think it's also when you announce I want to contest. We have this mentality of, you're getting into politics, not about yogi, but it's not that at all. And even as the campaign progresses, as we get closer, that's not what we're trying to do. It's more of a systematic effort to not be dissuaded by the rhetoric, by the the halabol kind of idea. It's a very concise, very streamlined process of saying, okay, an election process is this. You're supposed to go and ask for votes, and you provoke or evoke them by convincing them of what you stand for and what you want to do for your area. Before we get into that, I think one issue that we really need to talk about is we announced you 4 months ago thinking you would be contesting. Now, in Haryana, there have been about now 8 municipality corporations and commissions that have been either undergoing elections or haven't, and Sonipat was supposed to be one of them.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't gone, no announcement has come.
Nothing. So that gap, there's this it's been 2 years now.
A year and a half. Yeah.
A year and a half, and I mean, it's sad, the state of affairs, like, there are no elections. I mean, it's a democracy, and sometimes you feel like, is it a running democracy? Because the elections literally represent a democracy, and then when they are missing, you start questioning, like, what is happening. And people are not questioning because that's the worrying thing, like, people are just not questioning. They don't even know who their municipal member is anymore. Like, if I speak to my neighbor, they don't care, they don't know. Because it's also to do with the frustration, I think. Like, they're like, okay, nothing's going to change, or like, who cares?
So people are hopefully expecting someone to do something. They're
yeah.
willing to, like, invest if someone does something.
Something, right. That they are, for sure. They're motivated. They're like, oh, go for it.
Yeah,
right?
okay. So you have been motivated by it.
Right, for sure. Yeah,
okay.
I would say that.
I think it's interesting, and just to clarify, Sonipat was supposed to go under elections a year and a half ago almost, and these elections have been constantly delayed, and yet, Sneha, you should have been running 3 months ago. You should have been in midst of campaign process 3 months ago, and yet there's been no announcement. I mean, we're doing our work in a very limited way, and I mean, it helps us. We're able to build, a longer term and something sustainable, not to the point where we expected, but if the original timeline had stayed, it wouldn't just be Sneha Khatri, it would be Honorable Commissioner MC Sneha Khatri by this time, but that's how long it's been delayed, and still no information on it, and that's frustrating. Like, who are then, constituents supposed to go to as elected representatives? Who are they supposed to speak to?
Right.
But that's scary. But anyways, so just to clarify, we are working long term with Sneha at this point because we called up the state bureaucracy and government asking when is this supposed to be? Right. You got a different answer. We got a different answer. Hi, election se pehle ho jayenge. We're like, what's election?
Yeah,
state election, national election.
And this whole simultaneous elections thing. Like, they want to do now. They want to like run the GE first, and then Haryana elections.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that, especially for me, I don't think it's about running a particular area, it's mostly about change, so it could be anywhere, it could be from a village, it could be from, and so that's why we're even considering,
other elections,
so we'll be considering, I'll be running for Sarpanch, right? So
from
that,
your ancestral
from the village, in fact, interestingly, I visited a couple of villages these past few weeks, and the reception that you get from them, that they just want a leader. All they say is that, we'll form committees, we'll form a Gram Panchayat, we'll do everything for you. You just do it.
A progressive leader.
A progressive leader, and we'll get we were discussing that they're so, people in the village especially, they're so close in Haryana, in Sonipat belt, they're so close to Delhi yet so far from Delhi, because they don't know basic paperwork, getting an Aadhaar card, getting some basics are not being met, and there are so many government schemes so we need intermediaries here. You need sarpanches to be younger people who are aware of their rights, of the people's rights.
Of what people are missing out.
So those kind of intermediaries are very, very important.
Yeah. So anyways, I think one question in a lot of things is what exactly are we doing? And even though we haven't gotten to the primary campaign stages yet, because elections haven't been announced, but I think a lot of it is that support structure that you get.
Right.
It can be emotional, it can be tangible, it can be whatever. So do you think, as a candidate who always, or an individual who thought about running, it was in the back of the head, with YIF support, you were able to actually gain that and garner that courage?
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, without YIF, this would have been very, very difficult, because the fact, it's not just the logistical support, because somehow it's also the fact that there are so many young people with you who want you to do this, There are young people who are literally sitting in an office all day brainstorming that how can we get more and more people involved in the system. And that kind of support, when you have, that, this is not just a ad hoc kind of system. They genuinely want to do something. And that's when you get the confidence to tell people, no, this is going to happen. This is so. And apart from that, for example, any kind of legal help, and for me to be doing work as well as doing the other bit would have been difficult, and the fact that YF can help me reduce all that other the other work, of connecting with people, of let's say the legal work, of poll booths, of all the other logistics. So that way, yeah, YF. I think without YF, things would be very, very different, and yeah.
Yeah. First of all, we didn't pay her to say that, so that's unsponsored.
No, I'm a member now.
But no, that I think when we think about it, we think about elections and leaders are made because of community support, right? And especially in Haryana, that community primarily constitutes of caste, your caste identity, and uske people become leaders. In other places you have religious identities, and that's how they become leaders. And what we're trying to do is, okay, young people are behind you. That's our community. It doesn't matter what's your caste, creed, religion, your skin color, the language you speak. It's that we're young people in India, and we are seeking other young representatives to vocalize our concerns. And that's the community we're trying to build. And once you have that community support, once you have two people saying, Sneha, we have expectations, or Sneha, how can we help? Or how can we, help you in whatever you're doing? That really boosts. I mean, I personally feel like that's a boost.
It does.
And then, we have a community specifically for Sneha in Ashoka, people that are helping her out, and obviously that will become more tangible. That will become more expanded once the elections are announced. Once we're in that process. But just having people and that eye on you, okay, there's expectations, and once there are expectations, once there are emotions involved, I feel. And that's kind of like the main art of YF. It's that people feel themselves motivated and responsible.
Yeah. I mean, also having met other YF members, the motivation of people is actually much larger than they actually want more people to join the political system and create change. They are political enthusiasts, and it's so refreshing to see political enthusiasts in the country which are doing something about it. We usually see, when I was in college, I remember going to Indian Coffee House and a lot of the political discussions happening over left wing, right wing, this, that. But not a lot of people collaborating and doing anything about it, right? And it's so refreshing and nice to see that young people actually want to change things. So that way, when you like you said, that when you have that support, it's so much better than having any caste support. So much better than because it's ideational, and it's a different kind of support which is missing right now. The only support that we get is तुम इस caste से हो, you will get that.
Big party से हो.
तुम इस area से हो, so people will like you. या आप इस party से हो, so people will like you. Yeah, you're from this family, so people will like you. So right now you're a solitary unit. So I would say that anybody who wants to do this can do it with YF, right? You just have to have the political will. You just have to want to do it, and then these guys are here to support you. Because I honestly don't think I have a family background or an area where or everything is this is why she should do it. I think it's the motivation that these guys and their support that's really keeping me going more than anything else, I would say. Yeah.
That feels that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I can't end anything better than that. Better than hearing from a candidate herself about her experience with working with YF. Now, just to conclude things, I would like to suggest that if people that are listening or people that will see this and people that are motivated with Sneha's story and Sneha's basically experience working with us, two things. First, if you're ever thinking about running, don't be dissuaded, because you do have a community behind you, and you do have people, young people, supporting you and wanting to contribute to make India a better place, not just for the political elite, but for young people and citizens in general. And secondly, don't think that you can't take part in the political system. The concept and idea is behind YF is that campaigning in politics is not something that's distant, that's afar, that's something that's not approachable. What the idea is that campaigning in politics is part of our everyday life, and that what we can do, our characteristics, our traits, can help out another candidate like Sneha, or another candidate like Abhidaji, or like another candidate that we're constantly looking for. If you're an artist, if you're a singer, if you're a dancer, if you're a graphic artist, if you are a econ major that loves math, if you're an engineer, if you are a computer scientist, if those are your traits and you think you're far from politics or you'll never be able to associate yourself with politics, you're mistaken. And I won't tell you how, I want to prove you wrong. So come by our office. We're easily located in Connaught Place, and we'll let you know how you can directly help with campaigns. But Sneha, thank you so much
Thank you
for being here and having this live session.
Yeah. I guess thank you everyone for listening to us, and I really hope like you all like become more active and like be a part of this, because this is exciting. This is where you should be, and this is good for India and for everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much.